So I implore your listeners, anyone that can hear my voice, is to put the oxygen mask on yourself first and take a deep breath and start investing in yourself.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals, and people come on to help us who are just exactly perfect for that goal. Because today we have with us Daryll Bumpass Jr., Senior. Oh, yeah, the senior.
That's the other one.
He is the self-investment expert. He's a speaker and certified life coach. He coaches and writes in a most approachable manner about what it takes to enjoy the process of self-investment. He is inspirational by all means. Mr. Bumpass is poised to change his clients and listeners forever if taken with the highest regard. Daryll, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on sharing your platform.
It is my pleasure. I can't wait to see how I'm transformed by this conversation.
Well, the other Daryll Bumpass Jr. is the other guy. So
He's the other guy.
My son.
Nice. I actually know someone who's the fourth.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe your son will keep it going.
No, we had that discussion. So we'll stop at Junior. We had too many incidents with it was his mail or my mail. So we'll leave it alone.
Yeah, it gets a little complicated, I'm sure,
Indeed,
for the U.S. Postal Service. So, Daryll, tell me, I love to hear how people sort of got started. Were you always like, I mean, I can tell by your nature that you're just very loving and encouraging and supportive, but was this always your jam? Is this what you've always done?
Great question, Christine. And no, it was not. I worked in telecommunications for several years, and I just knew there was something out there for me. I just didn't know what it was. You know, you ever ask yourself that question, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And the way that I found my passion is one day I watched my father take his last breath, dying from cancer. And in that defining moment, it shook my world, it shook my foundation. But it also made me realize that you cannot take life for granted. You cannot take time for granted. So I had to shift my mindset and start investing in myself, because I was a yes man for everyone else and carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I realized that I had to start investing in myself. And I realized my father worked longer than he lived. Wow. And I wanted to change that narrative for me and my family, that mindset for me and my family. So I began to, Warren Buffett says, the best investment you can make is investing in yourself. So I started investing in myself. And what happened, it came from writing in my journal because of the trauma that I was experiencing, because my best friend and my hero had passed away, and it shook my foundation. So as I was writing in my journal, we turned the journal into a book, and the book became a bestseller. So that pivoted me from telecommunications, into becoming a best-selling author.
So like real communication.
Messages.
That's amazing. And that's a dream also, right? I mean, that's really fantastic. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
And now, when you talk about self-investment, are we talking about, like, how do you define self-investment? Let me ask you that.
So I define self-investment as we all have something in common, and we all want a peace of mind and happiness. I think we are all yearning for that, thirsting for that, striving for that. And we have to figure out what vehicles we can use to create that peace of mind and happiness. So one morning I woke up, and the left side of my face, Christine, was twisted. I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a stroke.
Yeah.
And I went to my doctors, and my doctors diagnosed me with Bell palsy.
Boy.
And the reason why I have Bell palsy is because I was burnt out, I was stressed out, and I did not have a plan. I did not have a plan. So it was in that defining moment when I created my 4-step self-investment method. So to any of your listeners that are listening, I would implore that they write these 4 steps down. And number 1 would be have a plan. Benjamin Franklin says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Right? Number 2, and these are the steps that I use with my clients, my life coaching clients. So number 2 is eliminate your distractions. So 2 questions. What are your goals and what are your distractions? You cannot reach your goals until you eliminate your distractions. Number 3, execute your goals. And number 4, which is my favorite, and what I had to do when I realized I had the Bell palsy, but my favorite is keep moving forward. So Martin Luther King Jr. says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. So this is how the ways that and the tools and the steps that we use, and I encourage your listeners to use these steps. And I am certain that when they implement these steps into their personal and professional life, they will have a huge impact. So these are the
It
steps
sounds
that I
really
had to
easy when
take.
people say have a plan, but it's like a lot of people are just going through the motions. They're showing up at work. They're just doing their thing. They're just like whatever somebody tells them to do. Like you say, you're just, you're like a pinball going from one person yelling at you to do something to someone else yelling at you to do something. And it's hard sometimes to get above that, to actually figure out what it is that you want.
Right, right. You have to decide that what is your worth? What is your value? Right? Do you want to be the person that builds someone else's dreams, or do you want to build your own dreams? And that's what you did at 50 years old and decided when you saw that there was no funds for retirement, you said, I'm going to get out of my own way and I'm going to start creating and building my own dreams. So I applaud you for that, for stepping out of your comfort zone, for getting out of your own way, for creating a plan and being an inspiration to so many people, including myself.
Thank you, Daryl.
But
That's a beautiful compliment. I appreciate that.
but that's what it takes. You being honest with yourself and deciding, do I want to continue doing this for the rest of my life? Do you want to work longer than you live, such as my father did? My father was a great man, but even in his death, in that moment, it taught me a valuable lesson that we have to shift our mindset from working harder to working smarter.
Yeah. Daryl, I don't know anything about Bell's palsy. Is it brought on by stress? Is that one of the reasons that you would get it?
Great question. Some people say there's so many different ways that you can end up having Bell palsy, but from my experience, it came from stress.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't realize that I was stressed. In that moment, I felt like I was on top of the world. I was making great money. We had a great home and great family, and I believe we had just wrapped up a Thanksgiving dinner. And I woke up that morning, but subconsciously, Christine, something was going on. in my mind and my body and my soul, my spirit, something was going on that I wasn't aware of. And I may have saw the signs, but I ignored them. But the stress has a funny way of showing up in our lives and in our body. And it showed up to me. And the message was, get your house in order. If you don't straighten everything out that needs to be straightened out, and I felt like everything was perfect. But apparently the universe didn't feel that way. Universe felt that there were so many more things they had planned for me that it had planned for me, and I wasn't in agreement with the universe. I wasn't in alignment, so they needed to get my attention, and they got my attention with my paralysis.
But it's arrested, right? I mean,
Well, I say 95%. 95%. It's about maybe 5%. I still can't move the left side of my face. But at that moment when it occurred, it was pretty much all the way over. So
yeah,
my
it's
lips was on the other side of my face.
wow. Oh my God.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
frightening.
But no, it's good. Because I would not be here speaking to you and on this lovely platform that you have created for all of us.
It's true. Sometimes we need a wake-up call, a little slap in the face. Good morning, Daryl. Good morning, Chris. Wake up. Let's get something going here.
Right, right. Life has a funny way of showing up.
Yeah.
And when it shows up, we have to decide how we're going to respond. Are we going to embrace it or are we going to run away from it? I chose to embrace it and say, okay, I'm ready. You have my attention. I'm ready. What is it that you need for me to do?
And is that when you wrote the book, or had you already written the book at that point?
No, I did not write the book because my father had passed after I had the Bell palsy. The Bell
Okay.
palsy still wasn't as much. It was a wake-up call, but not the wake-up call that I should have responded to. My father's watching him take his last breath was really the final nail in the coffin. No pun intended. But that was what really, in combination with the Bell palsy and my father passing away, is what made me really shift my mindset and start writing in the journal. And while I was writing in the journal, I was also going through therapy for about 4 years. So the
Yeah.
journal became very therapeutic for me. And I just heard my father's voice say, someone needs to hear this, someone needs to read this. And I ended up writing the book, turning the journal into a book.
Awesome. We talk a lot on this show about mindset and how it's just the key to everything, right?
Indeed, indeed,
You
indeed.
need to think about things in a different way. Things don't have to change. The way you look at them has to change, right?
Right, right.
How
Yeah.
did that first manifest itself with you when you sort of your mindset came around? How did you then start to look at things differently?
Well, I realized that we are being raised to be poor and in debt, poor and in debt. And I knew that I needed a shift my mindset into working smarter and not working harder. So we are being raised to be poor and in debt with the 40-40-40 rule, right? 40-40-40 rule consists of working 40 hours a week for 40 years and retiring with 40% of your income. This, my friends, to all of the listeners, is not sustainable. This is fallible and archaic thinking. So what I end up doing is creating multiple streams of income. So that shift that occurred for me, that pivot that occurred for me, and mind you, this was in my late 40s, so it's never too late. I created a 10-year exit strategy that I knew I wanted to retire by the age of 52. Luckily, I was able to retire by the age of 51. But that was only because I was able to shift the mindset and acknowledge that 40-40-40 rule that we constantly use every day and every morning that we get up. We are on this treadmill and not realizing we're not really seeing the things that we want to manifest in our lives.
I would
So,
say now, Daryl, it's more like 60, 50, 40, right?
indeed,
You're working 60-hour weeks for, right, 50 years, because now they want us to work till 72. That's at least 50 years of somebody's life. Although I started working, before I was 20 for sure.
right,
And then, maybe you're still getting 40%, maybe you're getting 30,
right,
some small
right. Maybe
fraction.
10, maybe 10.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a pretty sight. But when you put it that way too, you're like, what am I doing?
Right.
What am I doing this? So it's everybody would like to do that, Daryl. Everybody would like to say, oh, 9 years from now, I want to be retired. But how did you actually go about it?
Again, having a plan, creating a strategy, knowing that. So the minute, if anyone is listening, everyone says it's a 9 to 5. There's no such thing as 9 to 5s anymore, right? So what I did is started focusing on my time outside of my day job. How can I create income outside of my day job? And my eureka moment for me, Christine, was one of my favorite books called Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah.
Right? Because the cheese would run out sooner or later on that day job, right? The overtime will run out sooner or later on that day job, right? And what also was a wake-up call for me was the amount of times that we would go on strike. And I just
What
said
was
to
your field
myself,
before?
I'm
In the
sorry?
telecom? What were you doing? So telecom was going on strike a lot. Sorry, I'm
Right. Every couple of years because we had to renew our contract.
oh,
But
right.
while
Okay.
walking that picket line, I had decided that I can't rely on this. I can't depend on this, and my family can't depend on this. So it is imperative that I start creating multiple streams of income. Start creating income outside of your day job. So your listeners may be saying, well, I would like to do that, but I don't have the capital. I don't have the funds. I understand. I feel your pain. But use that day job as your seed money. Use that day job as your capital. I have a client that's a teacher right now, and she came to me and she said she loved what she does. She's a teacher and she enjoyed spending time around the kids, around the classes, but she knew there's something more. She knows there's something more she wants, and she also wants to start creating some type of stability for her family. So she has an amazing voice, Christine. And after several sessions, I suggested to her, have you ever thought about voiceovers? Voiceovers. While you're creating income and you're also creating royalties or residual income. So I'm happy to say, I'm proud to say that she's a very successful, she's constantly getting booked for voiceovers. To a point now, she started to create her exit strategy from teaching. And now she's leaning more into other ventures. I have another client that was working his day job, and I suggested to, which you would like, why not start creating, going to the real estate space, right? So you have so many different ways that you can create incomes with a low risk and high reward. There are so many different entry levels to go into the space of real estate. So one of them that I suggested to him was house hacking, right? You have a home, you have an asset. Instead of using it as a liability, start creating using it as an asset. So he started house hacking, and he went from using his primary home to then he invested into a duplex. I'm sorry, not even a duplex, a quad. He invested in a quad.
Nice.
So now he's pretty much living mortgage free while also creating financial independence generational wealth for him and his family, and also creating that exit strategy. And it may not always take 5 years, 10 years. What you put into it is what you get out of it, but you have to create some type of plan. I believe it's Malcolm Gladwell that mentions in the outlier 10,000 hours.
Yep.
10,000 hours equate to 10 years, but it may not take 10 years, especially the way technology is now, especially the ways that you can use to get into, let's say, something like real estate space. I have a client that I suggested to him that he actually, it was another client, and she went into real estate, and I suggested the using the DSCR strategy. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the DSCR strategy.
No.
So the DSCR program, they do not require tax returns. They do not require income verification. They do not require bank statements.
Yeah.
What they
So we
do
call those a
require,
ninja. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We call those ninja loans.
Right, right,
No
right,
income, no job.
right, right. So what they base the loan on is the cash flow of the rental property,
Right. Yeah.
right? And they do require that you have a 620 and above credit score, that you purchase the property in a entity such as a LLC, and you purchase the property as a rental, not owner occupied.
Right.
Right. So in her case, she already owned a property, and the other requirements that you already have an existing property. And in some cases, if you have several exits, then you may only have to put down 20%. But if this is your first investment, you may have to put down 25%. And using that strategy, I think it's a great strategy because I'm someone that subscribes to 100% OPM, right?
Absolutely.
So the strategy that she used was able to acquire the property with the DSCR program. Then she had again, she didn't have the funds. Like your listeners may be asking, I don't have the funds. How can I do to use this strategy? So with the DSCR program, she was able to acquire the funds, and then she said, "I don't have the funds for the down payment." Well, some people may not choose to use this strategy, but I think it works. 0% credit cards. She took it off the 0% credit cards. That was her down payment, and the DSCR, the lender, that was her funds for her acquisition. And people may say, well, Daryl, what about the credit cards? Well, 6 months down the line, you can refi, pull that money out, pay down the credit cards. So, and this is what we call, and I'm sure you know, Christine, 100% OPM. Let's make life easier, not harder.
That's right. So Daryl, when somebody starts working with you, what's sort of your process?
Well, my first on board or intake call is those two questions, believe it or not. I try to keep it as simple as possible. And those two questions is, what are your goals and what are your distractions? Right? What are your goals and what are your distractions? And then we start eliminating your distractions before we start focusing on your goals. Because it would
No, sorry. I was thinking about distractions. Like, what kinds of things would you consider to be a distraction? Because I'm wondering if it's not exactly what people, when you think of distractions, like, oh, the dog's barking, right? Or the kids are screaming. But there are other types of distractions that can interfere with your ability to reach your goals. Like, what kind of things are you thinking of when you say that?
uh, the distractions I would think of would be maybe your coworkers, right? Maybe family members, maybe TV, maybe a financial hardship, maybe an illness, maybe a death of a loved one. So there's several different eating, the type of foods that you're eating. What is your lifestyle? So we can have so many, and I believe I stated family members, we can have the closest people to us that can be distractions. So there are several different distractions in our lives that we think that is something that's actually helping us, but it's hindering our growth. It's hindering where we're supposed to be in life. But instead, again, my distraction was being a yes man, right? I wanted to make sure everyone was okay, saying yes to everyone else. And here's a brief story with Lois Lane in the Superman movie, right? So I like stories. So Lois Lane was in the helicopter, and the helicopter crashed into the building. And Lois Lane was falling from the sky. And she says, help me, somebody, please help me. And out of nowhere, Superman scoops her up. And he says, don't worry, Lois, I got you. I got you, Lois. And Lois Lane looks at Superman and says, well, if you have me, who got you? So we're trying to be Superman and Superwoman to everyone else, saying yes to everyone else, and we fail to say yes to ourselves. We say yes to them and no to ourselves. We say yes to them and we forget to put the oxygen mask on ourselves.
Yeah.
So I implore your listeners, anyone that can hear my voice, is to put the oxygen mask on yourself first and take a deep breath and start investing in yourself.
Because it's going to make you more able to help everyone else, right? If you're also suffocating, what good are you to anyone?
It's a great segue. Great segue. I was just speaking at an organization, and actually it was a women's organization. And there was a doctor in the audience, and I spoke about my Bell palsy and being a yes person. And she said, I like being a yes person. So I said, I commend you. I commend everything that you do, and I thank you for your service. But just think of this: if you're no good to yourself, how can you help us when we come in need of your aid? So it's great that you're a doctor, but you can be a better doctor if you're investing in yourself.
Absolutely.
Because we know doctors are overworked and they're working long hours, and some of them are not able to spend enough time with their families, and not even their families, but be able to have them quiet moments with themselves,
Yeah.
especially because of the trauma that they see and deal with every day on a daily basis. So while they're putting the oxygen mask on everyone else, she may forget that she have to put that oxygen mask on herself first.
Yeah, because she's getting weaker and weaker and not even realizing it.
Indeed, indeed. I need her. I need you, Christine. I need you. I need your listeners. I want to see them win.
Yeah.
I am dedicated to helping people get out of their own way and get to their next level. But there's so much more to life than grinding, right? People are confused with grinding and focus. So to me, grinding is on this treadmill. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. And grinding is to tear down. When you're grinding your teeth, you're tearing your teeth down,
Yeah.
right? But focus is having tunnel vision. Focus is saying, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to take time out every day and meditate. I'm going to take time out and exercise. I'm going to take time out just to listen to my inner thoughts. I'm going to take time out to get out of my own way.
And we have to.
We have to. It's imperative. It's mandatory that you get out of your own way and get off the struggle bus and start investing
I
in
like it.
start investing in real estate like Christine has done.
So, Daryl, what's the name of your new book? Tell us about the book that you've just most recently written.
So my new book, my new baby is, they all are my favorites, but my newest favorite is You Need an Income, Not a Job.
Right. That's for
You need
sure.
an income, not a job. Stop waiting, start creating.
Yep. I love the title, and it's so
Yeah,
true. Right. We're
yeah,
all
yeah.
we want, and I don't even think it's that I don't know. This is just like a little detour, but when people focus on I want X amount of money, I don't feel like that gets you to getting as excited as when you think about what the money will actually do for you. Right.
Right.
Like Daryl, he's got his cash flowing so he can write beautiful books. He can help people. He can make life better for other people because he doesn't have to worry, where's my next meal coming from, right?
Right. Yeah. That goes back to the 40-40 rule, how we're being raised to be poor and in debt, right? So we have to shift that mindset. And I keep emphasizing mindset because that's what it truly is. We have to shift that mindset and start realizing that you do not, and I want everyone to hear what I'm about to say. You do not need a job to survive. You need an income to survive. And let me reiterate. You do not need a job to survive. You need an income to survive. Now, here are several incomes because this is what they may be thinking. Well, what incomes can I start today? Okay, here are some low risk and high reward incomes. Print on demand. Print on demand t-shirts. You can create these t-shirts and have Amazon or Redbubble, several platforms that will sell the t-shirts for you, right? Let's discuss affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is another income. I mentioned house hacking. You can use the house hacking strategy. You can use rent your yard. The rent your yard hacking is where you can even rent a yard for someone that wants to park their car. If you live close to an airport, they may need a parking space and you can allow them to park it there. Or you can allow people to come and I'll take a page out of your book from my research. Uh, Proper tent up and use the tent in the backyard, rent your yard. You have other platforms such as Peerspace. Peerspace is a platform that allows you to use your property for video shoots, magazine shoots, commercial shoots, movie locations, peerspace.com. So there are so many different avenues that you can, or programs and strategies that you can use to start creating these incomes at low risk and high reward. As me and Christine and I had discussed the rental space, and I keep mentioning the rental space because it's just something that I really hold dear to my heart, and I just look at it as not quick money, but the strategy that I like to use is not only the 100% OPM, but also 100% occupancy, where you're purchasing the property with they already have existing tenants. So that's immediate cash flow for you.
Yeah, and real estate's fun. I like a lot of things about real estate.
Yes.
As you know, you're singing my tunes there, Daryl. So, Daryl, what if somebody wanted to start working with you right now? What if they hear your words and they're like, yep, I agree and I can see that, but I really need more help. I really need to have somebody to hold my hand through this process.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be your sounding board. I'm here to tell you when you are not, you're getting off track, when you're not focused, when you're not honoring your commitment, not that you made to myself, to me, but that you made to yourself. Because when you contact me, you're making a commitment to yourself that I want, would like to, I'm going to, and I believe in speaking things into existence and the power of the tongue, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to, or I am going to the next level in my life. So when you make that phone call, you're making a commitment to yourself. So
Absolutely.
I require that my clients honor their commitment that they made to themselves.
Well, and that working with you is a type of self-investment, right? Even though they're giving the money to you, they're investing in themselves.
Indeed, indeed, and even if they're investing instead of giving the money to me and investing in themselves, investing in a session, I don't work with anyone past 3 months if there's no progress being made. Because there's two things, Christine, you can never put back. You can never put back time and money. So I don't like to waste any one of them, either of them. Right. So if I don't see any progress being made, then I'm going to say maybe maybe we need to part ways, and maybe I'm not doing my job correctly. Maybe it's not you. You ever hear that? People say, well, it's not you,
It's
it's
not
me.
you, it's me.
Right. So
But we're
it's
breaking
not
up
you.
either way.
Right. Right. So that, this is what we may have to part ways, because you're not making the progress that when you came to me, these are the goals that you wanted, and you haven't reached these goals. So maybe I'm not the right coach for you.
Well, I mean, Daryl, sometimes people think that the only action they have to take is, writing the check.
Mhm. There's so
That's
much,
just
it's people. I'm someone that subscribe to information. I love information. I love to
I
research.
can tell you love to read. You're quoting people. I can tell.
I love information. But what someone told me years ago, my mentor had said to me years ago, information is good, but applied information is greater.
Absolutely.
Is greater. So the information that they may receive from me, and listen, I learn from my clients also, right? Because as they say, just when you think you know everything, you realize you know nothing at all. So I learn from my clients every day, and I enjoy getting up and having these sessions, so that way I can learn from them and they can teach me things also, and also challenge me to be a better coach, to be a better speaker, to be a better author, to be a better father, son, husband, so to be a better human being. So I'm ecstatic to get up and be able to have these sessions with so many people from across the world, from different walks of life. So I have to say that someone may be saying, well, maybe he's not for me because I don't fit that space. Now, I work with people from all walks of life, right? And it's not where you are now, it's where you would like to be. That's the important part.
Yeah, well, we're in over 50 countries, so you're reaching people, as I'm sure you already have done, reaching people all over the world. So,
Well, thank you for sharing your platform. I really, really, you are one of the reasons I smiled today.
oh, and I will give you the same compliment, Daryl. I love talking to you. Hey, what's a question that you wish I would have asked you? What didn't we cover that you really want to make sure that people know?
How what just came to me is, how do I maintain my peace of mind and happiness?
That's a great one. It's $1 million question. I wish I would have asked it. But let's pretend I did, Daryl.
Right. Again, how do I maintain my peace of mind and happiness? Is self-awareness. Self-awareness, knowing where I was and where I am and where I would like to be. I only got to this point. I only came this far to see how far I have to go. Right? And how do I do that? With safeguards. In layman terms, with safeguards. So I have a rule, and I have people visiting me right now this weekend. And I have a rule: you can only stay at my home for 3 days. 4 is pushing it, but it's usually 3 days the most, Christy.
Well, you know that expression, Daryl. House guests are like fish. After 3 days, they start to stink.
and start breaking stuff also. So, so I have a 3-day rule, right? And I'll tell everyone why I put these safeguards in place. But the 3-day rule is no more than 3 days you can stay at my home, right? And also is I have a 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., right? I give access to the world from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Prior to that is I'm in the morning all the way up to 10 a.m. I'm investing in myself. Again, with the meditation and so many other different components, but I'm investing in myself before I grab my phone and look at social media and become distracted. So 10 a.m., 10 p.m. is the best time people can contact me.
That's a
After
very
10
generous
p.m.,
window, Daryl.
right? After 10 p.m., Well, for clients, it's not 10, for clients is 10 a.m. to 6, I believe, or 10 a.m. to 5, I believe. But for the rest of the associates that I have, because I've learned that we have more associates than we have friends. Years ago, I used to think I had a lot of friends, but as we get older, we realize we have more associates than we have friends,
Yeah.
right? So the rest of my associates or friends or family members that want to contact me, the cutoff is 10 p.m., right? Because again, I need that time before I rest my head to invest in myself. So I wake up investing in myself and I go to sleep investing in myself. And
Perfect.
that allows me to protect my energy. That allows me to protect my space. So I do not wake up again looking in the mirror with my face paralyzed.
And that's a great, very poignant motivator and reminder. Awesome. Darryl, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate all the wisdom that you shared with everybody. And I just want to recap for everybody the 4 steps. You got to have a plan, eliminate distractions, execute your goals, and keep moving forward. And then you have to, or maybe actually before that, you have to buy Darryl's book. So what's the best way for people to do that, Darryl?
The best way you can purchase my book is my website, darrylbumpassr.com, darrylbumpassr.com, or amazon.com. And you can reach me for any sessions or questions at darrylbumpassr.com, and or across social media platforms is Daryll Bumpass Sr.
Perfect. And we'll put all the links in the show notes so that folks can easily reach out to you and get some more of your wisdom.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. And I just want to leave with, I really, really appreciate what you are doing, what you continue to do, what you have done. And it means the world to so many of us, even if you don't get here every day. Just know that there are so many of us out there that are watching you, and we appreciate what you are doing, even in them days that you feel like you're overwhelmed. Just know that there is someone like me and others that look forward to hearing from you, seeing the things that you are doing, and how you are inspiring the world in so many ways. And I wish you all of success that is coming to you.
Darryl, I'm blushing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate those words. That's beautiful. Now you really made me smile. This smile might go all the way till tomorrow.
Great.
Oh. And thank you, listener, for listening. We're excited that you're here. I'm glad you got to hear Darryl, but don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep Darryl to yourself. Share him with people. Share him with, sit down right now, write down at least 3 to 5 friends, associates, family members who you think could benefit, who could benefit by hearing Darryl's words, and forward this episode to them. They will thank you and they will smile all day. And we'll see you next week.